ready?
Yeah.
All right. What's up, everybody? Tim Campbell and SeMonne Campbell. We're IWillWillU.com. Make sure you go check us out there. Enter your name. Get an email. You're going to get posts from us. You're going to get a lot of live stuff to help out your marriage, a lot of resources for you. And you don't want to miss out on any of the events that we got going.
Especially for the new year. The new year is going to be hot. I'm excited.
So today's episode is about how to read past the surface, right? A lot of the times I notice in our relationship, we used to argue about surface level stuff. And whenever you try to address surface level issues in your relationship, you are dealing with the effects. You're not dealing with the cause. You got to dig down deeper for the cause of what's really going on. And it's real easy to go surface level, but you won't get anywhere in your relationship if you can't dig down deep and deal with the causes of what's going on with your mate. You want to be that person to understand what's going on with them, to be able to dig down deep into their soul and say, okay, I understand how my wife is ticking. I understand what she's going through, and now I can jump in and be of assistance. So how do I recognize that?
First of all, I want to give an example. Just because Tim is like, when we talked about this, it blew my mind how much he broke this down. So just want to give an example just real quick. I'm going to do something and then you address how you would think about it, okay?
Right.
All right. So I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, hey, Tim, you don't spend no time with me. You don't talk to me. You don't love me. You don't do nothing romantic for me. How would you handle a situation like that?
Like what are you talking about? Like
Right.
You're irritated, or I'd be like, you're irritated, or something like that.
Right. But even dig deeper. Because I remember before when I done that to him, before he'd be like, oh, come here, babe, give me a hug. I can see I haven't been showing you enough attention.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all these other things, but it had nothing to do with what was really going on with me. You tapped into a place that I didn't even tell him, about, but he knew that was the root cause. She needs, she needs some attention. I've been neglecting her a little bit, And
it's like we click when we're able to read each other. Like, you're not going to always come to me and say, this is what's wrong with me. I got to be able to play detective and say, let me understand. Let me dive in. I see that she's upset, but let me dive in. She's not going to tell me. And I say, well, what's wrong with you? You'd be like, nothing. You're not going to tell me what's wrong, so I got to dive in and say, I understand that something is wrong. Let me dive in and touch that part of you that needs that attention. And
for the people like me that's an extrovert dealing with introverts, they're very quiet and reserved. So I had to learn to do that with Tim, because for a long time, I thought he didn't love me because he just sat there and he didn't express himself, the way I thought he should express himself. So I had to tap in and look at and listen to what he's not saying, not what he's saying, but what he's not saying. You can learn a lot just by being quiet, right, with your mate. Just listening to what's not being said, just really thinking through in your head. A lot of times we stop thinking. Think a little more, and then be slow to react and listen more. So let's give them 5 things on how to read your spouse. How to know what's going on with your spouse without them having to tell you. All right. So number 1, notice broken patterns and broken patterns in their routine. Right. So usually I'll come home, and SeMonne's real good at this. I'll come home and I usually like cooking. Right. So I'll come home. I may do some things on the computer, and then I'll cook for the family. And SeMonne's real good to know that when I'm not doing that, when I don't come home and I just go straight to the room, or I just lay down in a certain spot, or when he takes a bath. Tim likes to when he takes like a 2-hour bath, I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm exaggerating, but when he comes home and goes straight to the bathroom to take a bath, I know that he had a rough day.
And those are times to say, let me back off a little bit. Let me. I'm not going to come at him this way or come at her this way. I can back off. But that's a way to notice that something's going on with your spouse.
Right. And not only say, okay, I'm going to back off, but but let me do the dinner today. I hate to cook. I'm not a cooker. We discovered that he's the best cooker, so we flip the roles.
Yeah.
But even taking owning that responsibility that he's supposed to do, just handling it for him so he can take that time to just relax or clear his head, whatever happened, for that day.
This helped us out. You'll go a long way. I'm excited about this because you'll go a long way being able to read your spouse. All right. So number 2 is to notice the changes in the body language and the communication. Right? Is your spouse out of character? Are they normally smiling? They're not smiling. Are they saying things that they normally wouldn't say? Notice those changes, because just like the leaves are falling in Minnesota right now, I understand that winter's around the corner, right? When the snow falls, I understand that it's winter. I can recognize the seasons and when the seasons are about to change even before it changes. So I recognize in my wife those same things. When she's going through something, I should recognize those same type of signs in her personality, in her body language, in her communication style, that, hey, something's wrong, something's going on, there's a shift going on. Okay, let me be the husband and be there for her.
Right. And if you don't recognize that, don't know those signs yet, that's okay. So now you're aware of that, just take the time out and actually start watching your spouse. If you got to write it down for a while until you understand it, or until you memorize it, until you notice what's the change, then do that. It'll help you out a long way.
Yeah. Number 3 is to recognize your spouse's comfort zone, right? The comfort zone turns to a wall of defense. And if you understand your spouse's comfort zone, you can detect when they're being defensive and that something is going on deep down inside of them that they may not feel comfortable discussing with you. So a comfort zone may be a place, it may be a future event. Like, for instance, I may be thinking about, my comfort zone is talking about business and what the business is doing. And it could be, I could just come home and I'm just talking about business. Well, I'm using that as a way to escape my present reality. I talk about a future event to escape that present reality because I'm trying to search for comfort. It may be a tough subject, something I went through that day, that I'm trying to escape that piece of it. Like SeMonne mentioned the bath, where I jump into the bath, I'm trying to escape a reality that I don't want to deal with, right? And that's a comfort zone. And our spouse will a lot of times turn to that comfort zone and live in that reality in order not to deal with the present reality.
And I would say for me, one of my comfort zone is running. So if I'm having a tough day or I don't want to deal with something, I'll get in the car and I'll just go. No matter what time of the day it is or what time of the night it is, I'll just go. And I had to learn that's not okay. And I have to deal with these things, and I don't know how I'm affecting Tim or how I'm hurting Tim by closing him out. I'll isolate myself or just, go watch TV, or I'll run. And when you do those type of things, it open up doors for all type of stuff, And maybe you might not even be trying to open that door on purpose, but that's what you end up doing, Yeah,
and it's important as a spouse to recognize when the spouse is turning to those comfort zones, like what happened. And so in lieu of saying, well, why did you leave? It's the middle of the night. Why did you leave? Or why are you always talking about business? I don't understand why you're always talking about business. In lieu of saying that, you can say, hey, honey, what's going on?
Right.
Let's talk. There has to be something going on in your life. How was your day today? You're turning to that your spouse turns to the comfort zone to escape something. In lieu of attacking them, find out why.
Right.
That's a way to read your spouse. And then number 4, and this is something that takes practice, but be quiet, right?
Say it again, honey. Say it again.
And that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Because we think we find strength in what we say.
Yeah, right.
And what we say is strength. But a lot of times, in order to read your spouse, you just have to be quiet. You don't always have to have something to say. Be observant. Right? Just observe what's going on in the environment. What's going on in the present climate. Is there something that's going on and stress at work? Is it a certain time of the month? Just be quiet and observe different things, so you don't just be so quick to jump on them.
Right.
Observe what they're going through. Be sympathetic to what they're going through. And that's a good way to read your spouse.
Right. And sometimes just giving them that space. Like when I come home, I have so many things on my mind. I just need 20 minutes without Tim, without the kids, without my phone. And after those 20 minutes, I'm a whole different person. I'm happy. I'm ready to, mingle. But I need those 20 minutes just in front of the TV and give me a minute every day. Every day.
Yeah. And number 5 goes along with number 4 is that a lot of times when things are going on with your spouse that they may or may not want to talk to you about, it's important to take them off guard. They have the defensive wall up, right? And they may not want to put the burden on you, or they may just not feel like talking, and so they have a wall up. And you got to understand that I want to be your support system. I want you to come to me when things are going on in your life. In order for me to do that, I got to bring down that wall. I got to bring down your wall. And how do I do that? Well, I don't do that by attacking you, but I do that through wisdom. So I may not address the issue right away. I may wait a little bit and say, hey, you want me to run you some bath water? Hey, you want me to cook you some dinner? Hey, let me give you a back massage.
He's good at that.
And when you're relaxed, when you're relaxed, and it makes sense. When you're relaxed, that wall starts coming down. Okay, now you're ready to talk about it. Now you're ready to see what's going on.
And I remember one time I was really, really tense and stressed. I came, had a bad day at work. School was just too much, overwhelming, and the kids was just, they didn't clean, so I'm just yelling at everybody, fussing, and Tim was like, come here, babe. He said, just sit down. I said, no, I can't. He said, sit down. I don't want you to think. I don't want you to say nothing for 15 minutes. And I was like, oh, babe, I don't want to do this. And I just did it, But I remember after 2 minutes of sitting there, I was like, babe, what about, he said, no, babe, nothing. You don't think, don't do nothing, just, sit here. And then I tried to do it again, like maybe 4 minutes later. And then it got to the point where I just sat there and I embraced that 15 minutes. And after that, I learned something new.
Yeah.
Sometimes just sit there, don't say nothing, don't think about nothing, just relax your mind. And that was really helpful.
Yeah. Well, those are 5 things to release your spouse. And when you said that, or to read your spouse so that you can be that extra support system that your spouse needs. Those are 5 things. If you put them into practice, your marriage will go a long way. We're going to throw a bonus in here, right? Because when you said that, it sprung up something in me. Make sure that you take mini vacations, right? Those mini vacations. Yeah. And mini vacations are like 15-minute breaks, 20-minute breaks where you don't think about anything. You don't think about house stuff. You don't think about anything. Right. You just take time just to relax and enjoy and appreciate life. I'm not going to address anything. Don't call me. Don't do anything. I'm just going to sit here and gather my thoughts, right? And listen, your marriage can be great. You just got to work at it, all right? And it starts with that open communication, how to read each other without having to talk to each other, where you're actually becoming one in the relationship. Like my mind is in your mind. I know what you're thinking. You know what I'm thinking. And so we can attack this world together, all right?
Oh, I love you.
I will you. Work on your relationship. We'll see you at the next post.